What's going on, everybody? Welcome into GDT Live. My name's Dayton Kamal. Alongside me, Colton Davies. We've got a great episode today, but first, Colton had a great episode yesterday. I was unavailable. He talked to Casey Bryant, the Everett Silvertips play-by-play guy yesterday, so go check that out after this episode if you want some other hockey content to consume. But today, we've got Spencer Hyman, newly appointed general manager, and him and his brother also are owners of the Brantford Bulldogs. We're lucky to have him on today, talk about everything Brantford. And then also, Colton was able to talk a little bit with Rob Schremp earlier this morning. Got a nice 40-minute conversation in there. Everything OHL, London Knights. Talked a little bit about Corey Perry, his time playing with that. Lots of favorites. So there's lots of stuff to listen to today. We're definitely happy to have everyone on. Colton, how you doing today? A nice Wednesday.
It is a nice Wednesday. I'm good. Had a fantastic chat with Rob and excited for everyone to hear that. And looking forward to talking with Spencer here about what it's like behind the scenes.
Yes, sir. Well, Spencer is backstage, so why don't we bring him on and get this thing started? Spencer, how's it going today?
Hey guys, great. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Good stuff.
Let's jump right into it. What inspired you to take ownership of the Brantford Bulldogs?
Yeah, that's a great question. Junior hockey's been instilled in our family forever. Zach and I grew up where my dad owned the Georgetown Raiders, and then soon after the Hamilton Red Wings, and we both got to not only be fans of the Hamilton Red Wings but also play for them. And this is something that Zach and I and my dad, doing it with my dad, with our dad, we always wanted to pursue, and it was always going to be about the right opportunity. And as I said prior, it was always the Bulldogs, and that was the right opportunity that presented itself, and so we jumped in.
What can you kind of walk us through the process of what it's like to acquire an OHL team, and kind of like maybe not all the legalities and stuff that you can't really speak on, but just maybe a little bit of the behind the scenes of what it's like?
Yeah, really, it depends on who, I guess, you're purchasing a franchise from. Our experience was phenomenal with Michael Anwauer. I think one of the best new owners in hockey in the NHL, but a longtime owner within the sport. I think for us, the word I would use is trust. There was tremendous trust both ways between us and between Michael. Michael genuinely cared who he sold the hockey club to. He cares about the Bulldogs. Wanted to see his legacy be carried on in a positive light, and so it really just started with a conversation and ended with a transfer of ownership.
That's a good way to do it, though, right? Like, it's about having, I think with junior hockey, the biggest thing is you want owners who are local and who are passionate about the sport. And, other times it can get lost if it's not that way. So what do you guys kind of do to bring in the community and kind of bring that engagement up?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I couldn't echo what you're saying more, Colton. Like, junior hockey has to always be driven by passionate people about, the sport of hockey, but in specifically junior hockey. I mean, we're dealing with kids, right? So, for us, it's really important to teach our players about community work. It's really important to get them involved in the community. We've instilled 2 mandatory full, and I say mandatory, but our players are wanting to engage in this. But full team community nights per month, once every week. But within a month, we do many more than that, just not the entire team together. We have our own Bulldogs Foundation, which is fantastic, led by the great Peggy Chapman. And so we've raised a lot of money for the Hamilton and Brantford youth charities, as well as the Brantford Hospital. So for us, being involved in the community is a pillar of junior hockey, and it's a major reason why we, wanted to get involved in the Ontario Hockey League.
Spencer, what does a night kind of look like? You say the guys are willing to. Obviously, it's good for them as well. What are the guys going out and doing in the community? What type of stuff are they going out and doing?
Yeah, it depends. Like this year, we have certain nights planned with some local restaurants where the players will go in and cook dinner for people, cook what they eat or eat what they cook as well. Team signings, meeting kids, going on the ice with Brantford minor hockey. We're actually doing a Hockey Fights Cancer game with Brantford minor hockey this year, which would be fantastic, raising money for a really important cause, obviously, that's likely close to everyone's heart. And so stuff like that is critical. As I said, it's a pillar of junior hockey, supporting the community that supports you. When Brantford community comes to Bulldog games, they're cheering for their team, they're cheering for Brantford, they're cheering for their community against another smaller community in Ontario. And so for us, every player that plays here wears that crest with pride. I manage that crest with pride, and understanding that Brantford is a very special place, and giving back to this community specifically is incredibly important.
What what is the short-term and long-term goals for Brantford right now?
On the ice,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we want to be in a position to succeed every year. That's the key. I'd say the answer is kind of the same. We'd want to have a winning product on the ice every year, but the main pillar and core of our belief system in Brantford is always going to be development. It's always about our players. We want to develop players for pro hockey. We want to develop players for the NHL. If you'd ask me and my brother what our number one goal is with the Brantford Bulldogs is if we could look back in a decade and have the most NHL players that played in Brantford for the Bulldogs from the CHL, that would be our number one directive. And then beyond that, it's developing human beings. Take out the hockey side of it. These kids show up at 16 years old and they're in prime development years of their life, and teaching them how to be really good people that can contribute to society in multiple different ways. It doesn't matter if they're a hockey player or they become a doctor or a lawyer or a police officer or a firefighter or teacher. It's the goal is to make sure that kids leave here better than when they arrived. And I think with the people that we have in place in Brantford, we can do that.
Spencer, I just wanted to touch on this. You talked about leadership and guys growing into a good NHL player. And I think one of the big reasons that, or one of the big factors about that is players coming in and having those older players to look up to. This offseason, you traded for Ryder Bolton, and he's definitely a role player. He knows his role, but he can be a leader as well. Austin Elliott actually told us when he first came to London that Ryder Bolton was the one picking him up for practice and driving him to the rink. How much does it help the team, help the younger players to have a role player like Ryder Bolton come in and kind of lead?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's huge. The one thing on Bolt is that he is beloved by his teammates and his community. And I think it's a lot to do with just the human being he is. I met him 2 times now. Just an unbelievable kid. Already loves being a Bulldog. He, out of all the hats that he could choose, he chose the hat that said Brantford, not just the Bulldog logo. And I think that shows who he is, right? He's a community person and player. And, in terms of teammates, he's an amazing teammate. It's funny, we always do social media checks on players and stuff. And he had a caption on one of his pictures that said, "Don't touch my friends." And I found that really funny, but, in a way that this guy will do anything and go to war for the guys that are sitting next to him. And that's the type of player that I want on my team any day of the week. Every player on a team has a different role. I think Ryder can contribute more on the ice than maybe he's been given credit for. And I think he's going to show that this year. And we're really excited for the opportunity that he has in place to be a really key piece to our team.
When you look at as a GM, you were able to bring in Caleb Malhotra and Edison Engel and Cooper Dennis, all three guys who are committed to go play in CAA. What was it like kind of recruiting them to come play for Brantford?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'd say all three were different. With Coop, it's a very straightforward process, a conversation. Obviously, our family has a really tremendous history with college hockey and Michigan. Zach was an All-American there. I played there, and so have a great relationship with Michigan. And and for Coop, I know he, just like Edison and Caleb, want to play at the highest level they can at all times. And the CHL does present the best opportunity for them, not only to play at the highest level, but to develop and to succeed on and off the ice. And so, with Edison, it was a longer process. I think Edison's an amazing kid. He was very happy with where he was, but ultimately understood that, coming to Brantford, he's going to become the best version of himself and prepare and get ready for Ohio State. And we were so thrilled that he chose to be a Bulldog. Unbelievable kid and family, all three of them. And then Caleb Malhotra, Zach actually got to play for his father, Manny, in Toronto, which is amazing. He loved him as a coach. Caleb is a culture kid. He's a type of kid, as I said prior, like, you build your team around a person like this. Take out the hockey, but a person. This kid is special. He does everything the right way. He's a leader. And recruiting him, was pretty straightforward. Once the rule change happened, Caleb is a warrior. He's a competitor. He wants to play at the highest level he can. Obviously with the schooling, is very important to him and his family. Our educational program has adjusted for this year in Brantford. We are very focused on the development of players on and off the ice. We view schooling as just as important to have success in as hockey. These are kids, and that is really important. So with Caleb, I know that was a very important factor of him coming here, and we're very excited and proud that all three players chose to be Brantford Bulldogs.
What kind of goes like? Can you kind of walk us through as a GM what kind of goes on in your day, maybe like during the season? Like, I
Yeah.
imagine you are just all over your emails and phone and busy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a quote the other day and I thought it was really interesting, and I really liked it. And it said, bosses like power, leaders love people. And I think people are the most important part of every day. We have an amazing staff. I love our coaches, led by Jay McKee, who is an NHL head coach that's coaching in the OHL, which we're very fortunate and lucky to have him here. Hopefully for longer than I expect, but he's a special coach. And our assistant general manager, Justin Ishmael, you never find a person that cares for players like he does. Loves the Bulldogs, loves our players. And then Mike Galati, our director of scouting and hockey operations, who's been close to me and my family for a long time. So I say, like, there is a lot of work. Obviously there's a lot of phone calls, there's a lot of management, but when you have really good people around you that you trust, you do things together. And in Brantford, we believe in a collaboration, everyone working together for one common goal, and that's how we operate.
Okay, I thought Dayton was going to ask a question, but sorry about that.
Yeah.
So you guys finished first in the East, and what is the kind of the goal for the 2025-2026 season here? Like,
Yeah.
you got a lot of returning players, Merrick Van Acker, Jake O'Brien, of course. What is kind of the goal for 2025-2026 here?
I'd say the goal is to be the best version of ourselves. We want to develop our players. We want to make sure that our players are giving everything and getting better every single day. As a manager, I want to get better every single day. I know our coaches do. So we want to be the best team we can be. What the ceiling is, I don't know. I think every team has its own way of coming together, and you kind of understand better where you're at in November, December. But what I will say is that we do have a lot of great players and great people that are coming into our organization, returning and joining, and I'm very excited to see how it all meshes.
What do you make of Jake O'Brien? I mean, we just saw a big year out of him, a big year out of Nick Lardis too. Holy cow! But what do you make of Jake O'Brien and his decision to return to the OHL as well?
Yeah, I mean, Obi's a pro. He's an amazing kid, an amazing hockey player. Someone that, I think, as I said to Jeff Merrick actually and Pierre Maguire when I was on their draft show, I said, like, I think you're gonna look back at this draft and just be shocked that this kid went 8th overall. Like, he's that good. His brain is off the charts, but the scary thing about Jake is that his body, like he has so much room to grow, and get bigger and stronger. And now with us bringing Gary Robertson to the fold and Adrian Maleka from a player development standpoint, working with Luke Van Moorkirk, our head strength coach, I mean, I think the sky's the limit. So, the thing I would leave off of him saying with Obi is like, great. He's a great hockey player, but he is a better person. And to say that is really, really hard because he's a ridiculous hockey player. But he is, and he's someone that is an unbelievable role model for a guy like Caleb Maholcher to have, or Aiden O'Donnell. He's an amazing presence in our locker room and an amazing kid in person. So we're thrilled that he's going to be returning to the Bulldogs.
Colton, I just have to say sorry for that one. My dog was barking upstairs. Had to have the mic muted. But Spencer,
okay.
I wanted to ask you about Jake O'Brien. Obviously, 98 points. Would it be a shock to you if he hits 110, 115 next season?
I wouldn't put any numbers on it, and that's not fair for me to do. But what I would say is that we're expecting Jake to have a really big year and play with some really good players around him. And so, from that perspective, we are really excited to see what Jake can do this year. And I think he's gonna have a special season in Brantford.
That's fair. That's fair. One more kid that I wanted to touch on. You also did just touch on him, Aiden O'Donnell. He's a Nova Scotia boy, just like myself. What can you touch on him, or what can you say about him?
Yeah, Aiden was in the gym with Gary recently, and Gary was glowing. I didn't see Gary blush too much, but he was excited. So, Gary spoke really highly of how Aiden looks. I thought Aiden had a really strong end to his year last year. I think the CHL and the OHL specifically, it's a hard league for 16-year-olds to play in, and I thought he looked great last year. I thought he put in the work. He's a kid that has an amazing head on his shoulders. He's a positive attitude, team first player, and I think he's primed for a huge season. And we're thrilled and excited that he's a Brantford Bulldog, and I can't wait to see what he does heading into his draft year. And we expect a big year out of Aiden.
What do you make of the OHL product right now? Of course, this OHL is kind of changing at the moment with the NCAA rules, but what do you make of the OHL and the talent level right now?
I think it's gotten stronger. I think
Yeah.
more teams are going to be better. I think teams are, as a whole, are going to be stronger. Maybe the league has lost, some elite level players to college hockey heading into next year, but for every player we've lost, we've probably gained 10 to 15 stars that weren't playing in our league because of the eligibility rules. Our team alone, Cooper Dennis, Caleb Malhotra, Edison Engel, and so that will continue to trend forward. So for us, I actually view this change as a massive positive. I think every kid should have a decision to make that is in the best interest of their career. I'm always of the belief that the players run this game. The players are the most important people in hockey. And when you're 16 years old, you should not be forced to make a decision that is so big for your future. And so for us, our goal is 100% to develop players for the National Hockey League. And I think the CHL will always be the best place to play in the world. I think the CHL is a better place to play than anything. But in saying that, every kid needs to make their own decision for themselves. Now, I do think the CHL, as I said, and the OHL specifically, are going to be continuing to develop players directly like we're doing with Jake O'Brien for the NHL. But there will be some kids that maybe college hockey after they're finished playing in the CHL is a good spot for them to continue their development. So I think it's a case by case basis. But for us, we're excited about the opportunity to work with the players that we now have an opportunity to have because of the rule change.
Yeah, and that makes sense from a standpoint from that perspective. Hey, Spencer, I assume Zach has a big role as well in the day-to-day operations. What does a conversation kind of look like for you two when you're discussing the team?
Yeah, you know what? For me, I'm fortunate because I got my dad who's done this for 30 plus years, and I've got my brother who is an NHL All-Star that has experience in hockey, and I believe is the brightest mind in hockey that isn't in management yet. But supporting me in management and in the team, and I think the biggest thing that Zach brings to this hockey team right now, obviously he's focused on his NHL career at the moment, and that's the most important thing to him is to win a Stanley Cup with the Edmonton Oilers, and hopefully they do accomplish that soon. But I think the biggest thing that Zach has to offer our organization right now is support to our players. Every single one of our players gets his phone number. They can outreach to him at any time they want. He's there to support them. He's watching video on our team when he's on the plane traveling. He's now watching Bulldogs games, which is amazing. He's telling me what he sees, supporting our club in every single way. And we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate that he's doing this and helping us.
What kind of oh, sorry, Colton. What kind of goes into like the day-to-day behind the scenes stuff when Zach's like away in the NHL? Obviously, you said he's like watching videos and stuff, and he's got the kids' numbers. But is there anything anything else he does like to kind of get himself involved with the team when he's away from Brantford?
Well, he helps pay the bills. That's
a good one.
But no, you know what? He's in a supporting role, which is fantastic. He's there to support, everyone in the organization as best he can. Obviously, being in Edmonton, but like I said, his number one priority is to play hockey right now, and he has trusted me to lead this franchise into the future. And I couldn't thank him enough for presenting me with this special opportunity that has been an unbelievable process and honor for me to do to this point, and I know will continue to be.
Yeah, there's probably no one else he could trust more than his own brother, so it's probably the best person that he could have by his side.
I appreciate that.
What kind of what family values are you bringing into your leadership role or your ownership role? Sorry.
Yeah, I said that the first one would be community. Community is everything. Charity, giving back to our community, supporting our community. I think we've done a good job of that in the start of our tenure in ownership, and we'll continue to, because this community is like none I've ever seen before. They love this hockey team. And then I would just say, love. We love our players. We love the Bulldogs, and we love our team. We love our staff, and we genuinely mean it. This is not just a hockey team. To me, this is my life. I've got my wife, who I love. I've got my two young kids who I love. I've got my little bulldog, who I love as well, and I got the Bulldogs. And so, from that perspective, this is my everything. This isn't something, like I said, that's a fun thing. This is my life. This is what I think about all day, every day. It's what keeps me up at night in a good way. And making sure that this team is in the best position to be prepared and succeed on a day-to-day basis. And I will accept nothing less than that.
What is your favorite jersey that Brantford has worn?
It's a good question. I got the third jersey behind me. That's the candy cane Ticats type look from Hamilton. But I would just say the traditional one. It's funny. It's even before we bought the club. I'd say it was our favorite logo in hockey. It's the best logo. Great colors. A special logo to wear and represent. And one that, like I said, I don't take for granted any single day. So, but I'd say the traditional black Bulldog jersey. That's. I don't know if it gets better than that.
Spencer, you talked about bringing the community in. Is there anything that Brantford does like during the in-game experience to kind of tie the hometown vibes into it? I know in Halifax they shoot Donair subs out of a cannon, so because the Donair is big in Halifax. But is there anything like community-wise that really goes together with the in-game presentation?
Yeah, it's a good point. We have amazing partners that are all majority, well, not all, but majority of them are Brantford based, which is fantastic. So we give out gift cards for local restaurants, stuff like that are graciously donated. We do a a home opener. We did it in playoffs. We started last year, outdoor BFD tailgate district. We can't call it tailgate, but outdoor district. Where fans, when we bought the team in January, it was like -20 Celsius out, and I saw two fans tailgating before the game, and I was like, wow. So I spoke to them, we got them involved, and we ended up creating, with the city in collaboration with the city of Brantford, our own tailgates. And so we had actually Brett Kissel, country music star, is a big Oilers fan, come and sing at one of our tailgates and sing the anthem, and it was great. And so we're going to be continuing that next year. Through that, we've got local sponsors that are all involved and giving out different things and whatnot. So every 50-50 for every game this year and last year and prior. This was started by Michael, but is run through our foundation. All those proceeds are going to youth charities, all different for every different game, depending on the theme. So the community is very well represented in every Bulldogs game. I like to call them community events, not games, because you've got the whole community pretty much there, including Mayor Kevin Davis and all the councilors. So it's a very special environment.
Definitely. It feels like it for sure.
Yeah, you guys got to come see a game.
Yeah,
Colton.
absolutely. We will definitely have to make a trip out there. That would be worth it. What's your favorite OHL arena other than Brantford?
It's a good question. Well, obviously Brantford would be one. Although we're getting a new arena, thankfully our arena is a little bit smaller and older, and I'm excited for our players to get a new arena. I'd say what I love about our arena is our fans, but I'm gonna love our new arena even more. But in terms of arenas I thought Oshawa's got a great setup. They treat the away team really well. Very easy for the players and the equipment managers to access their facilities. Guelph has a great arena, which is really cool. It's kind of in a mall. The way they built it's very interesting, which I really liked. The Kitchener, the Odd is a special place to play hockey. And it's a great setup. Yeah, I would say the league has very good rinks all around, and every rink is unique to their own franchise, their own team.
Yeah, for sure. One last one for me, Spencer. If you could design your own like Brantford Bulldogs alternate jersey, how would it look?
You'd have to talk to Chris Cook on that. I'll plead the fifth there. I don't know. I leave everything equipment related to our head equipment manager, Chris Cook. He's the Team Canada World Junior equipment manager. He's the best in the business. I don't stick my nose in his work. That's his area. We'll leave it to him.
That's fair. That's more than fair.
Spencer, before you go, just one more for me. In like a short sentence, if you could, what would you say to Bulldogs fans? What could they expect for this upcoming season? Just in a short sentence.
Yeah, you know what? I think a hardworking team that's going to give it every single night. The way I manage is the way my brother plays. It's like a Bulldog. I will not leave one stone unturned, and you can be assured that players that play and wear this jersey and this logo will always play like a Bulldog and play with that mentality. That's the most important thing to me. You can always control how hard you work. You can always control how you treat people. Both are different things, but both are equally important. And so, to me, it's a team that's going to represent our community properly, on the ice as well, and going to play hard for that logo and for Brantford.
Definitely. I think that's a pretty good comparison as well. Zach definitely plays like a Bulldog out there.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that.
Speaking of Zach here, just before we let you go, we got a question in the chat from Big Willie Styles. He wants to know if you could beat him in a fight.
There's actually a really funny story on that, which Big Willie Styles like. So we were playing like 3-on-3 when we were, I don't know, maybe like 11, 12 years old. And we were just like fighting with we were on the same team. We were just fighting with each other all game. And I think I came off the ice and like Zach was getting on and he made like a comment to me like I was taking too long. So I scared something like that. I skated back on the ice and I pushed him. And then, Big Brother just had enough. And, started filling me in a little bit, gave it to me, and then we actually both got kicked out of the game, which is really funny. But no, I don't think I could. I think when I was younger, I could. Actually, right now he's got one hand, so maybe right now. But but no, he's a strong guy. He works out a lot, so it might be a little bit tough for me now.
Oh, that's a great answer and great story too. Hey Spencer, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Okay, guys, I appreciate you and congrats on the show, and look forward to getting you guys out to Brantford.
Hey,
Awesome.
take care,
Thank you so
Spencer.
much.
Look forward to being there.
Okay, guys, appreciate you.
Well, Colton, it looks like we have another place to pin on the map for 2025, 2026. That's not a big deal for me. I'm down to go to Brantford anytime.
Absolutely. Would be a blast.
Definitely. I definitely should have taken a trip out there when I was living in Toronto the past 2 years. Definitely would have been a great game to go to.
Yeah, you probably could have done that. You're a little closer.
Yeah, definitely. But fellas, without further ado, Colton earlier got the chance to talk to Rob Schremp in an interview. He sat down with him for about a good 40 minutes. So we're gonna roll that now.
Welcome everyone to GDT Live, and today we are joined by former NHLer Rob Schremp, and very excited to talk to Rob. As everyone knows, I'm a huge CHL guy. I work for the Kamloops Blazers. I followed you during your years with London, so thank you so much for joining me today, Rob.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Let's go back to London. How did you join London originally? As an American kid, was it always London for you, or were you kind of looking at the NCAA as well?
No, I originally started. I got drafted first overall to Mississauga Ice Dogs, and then I got traded to London. So, but growing up, my path was really geared towards the OHL. Tim Conley was a guy that was a local guy to me. He's about 10 miles away in Baldwinsville, and I grew up idolizing him and Matt Murley. Ironically, they both went different paths, but Timmy was, sorry if Merles hears this, but Timmy was my idol. He was sick. Like, he had the nasty hands. He was really a trailblazer, I think, in the skill side of things back then. Like, he did things with the puck that were just crazy. And I grew up watching him, and just he got drafted, I think it was 5th overall to Erie. And their family, and his dad, Mr. Conley, and Don Kernan were really helpful in mentoring us, and that path we had no idea. So they gave us good information, and that's, for me as a kid, I just wanted to do what Timmy did. So that being said, also at a young age, it kind of was very advanced. So the idea was, once I got 14, 15 years old, I was really wanting to make the NHL at 18 years old, like Timmy did. So yeah, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. So college was kind of out of it really early, and playing tier 2 junior at 14 and 15 years old, there was a lot of, chatter and kind of scouts talking about where my trajectory was. So, and that was geared towards that OHL route.
And I mean, what a fantastic career you had with London, and that 04-05 team is still talked about as one of the greatest CHL teams like ever assembled. What made that team so dangerous, do you think?
We just had all the components, we all the way from the goaltender out, Adam Dennis. We had, before Adam, we had a guy, Ryan McDonald and Jared Coleman. They were an unbelievable goalie tandem. They had good chemistry, and there was no animosity. They shared the net pretty much. And then you go out to the D-core, like Danny Servret, Dan Girardi, Mark Mathot, Brian Rodney. Like, those core 4 were sick. Like, Brian Rodney was like your high-end scoring defenseman, like, could do sick things from the blue line with the puck. Even coming out of the zone, he was unreal at stick slips. As the last man back, like, sometimes he'd give you a heart attack, but like, he was so good with the puck, coming up with it, and then up from the blue line down, like, sick movement and puck distribution. Mark Mathot was like the stay-at-home absolute stud at his job of stay-at-home, rock-solid defenseman. Dan Girardi and Danny Servret both were in the same boat as far as they would eat pucks and were so selfless with their bodies. Like, on the penalty kill, it was crazy. They would both be on the, kind of a diamond formation, and they would both come out on one knee or whatever it took to block shots. And then if you go down the other end, Danny Servret was like, he was ripping bombs from the blue line, scoring points and scoring goals. And Like he was the CHL Defenseman of the Year that year, and the 85 birth year is like no joke. That's probably one of the best birth years for a defenseman, maybe ever. You talk about at that age bracket, you got Dion Phaneuf, Shea Weber, Brent Seabrook, Braden Colburn, I think his first name is. You know, like their World Junior team was out of this world. Danny was on it, and he was the best defenseman of the year that year in the whole country. So Danny was amazing. And then you go to the forwards. You have the guy like Corey Perry leading the charge. Danny was our captain, but I think we could all agree with that. But like Corey was our leader, so to speak, as far as on the ice. He was a quieter guy and just showed through his play. But what a competitor, man! Wow, like Perez was awesome. Like he was doing high end stuff with the puck, and also like that gritty, just who he is now. I mean, the guys call him the Worm, and that's his nickname in the show. And he's just such a rat, but he's like highly skilled rat. Like he's really
exactly.
It's like, and in junior he was more skilled. Like he really, I think, dumbed down his game a lot in the pro game, like net front and around there. But like in junior, he was toe dragging guys. He was doing the spinoramas, like he was doing really high end stuff, and competed like a bastard. Like, excuse my language, sorry. He was just
you're good.
Competitive, and like, the one thing it was all year long, but the playoffs came around, and it was, we all put it into another gear, pairs too. And one was like I don't want to be wrong, but I think it was game 1 or game 2. At the end of the game, Mike Richards was just like absolutely raking on his back in the corner. We were winning and the game was over, and Pairs, they were just like killing the clock, and Richie's like cross-checking him. I was like, oh, Jesus. So fast forward to game 2 or 3, whatever it was, he did the same exact thing, same exact scenario, like same thing in the same spot, and Pairs was like, let's go. And he went and he fought him at center ice, and it was a hell of a fight. Thankfully, none of them, neither one of them got hurt, but like Pairs won the fight, in my opinion. Maybe I'm biased, but I felt like he won the fight. But he let's go. We're going center ice. Like, you're not getting away with this shit again. And that's Pairs to a T. Like, he always answers the bell in every situation, So we just had so much of that, and call us second tier guys like myself, David Bolin, Danny Fritchie played in the NHL at 18 and playing lockout season, so he's not old enough to go to the minors. Fortunate for us, we got, and like he was a hell of a junior player, played fearless, and playing at 18 in the show, and then at 19 in junior, that's like playing with little kids, right? So Danny had he was great. We had had so many pieces. Then you go to like Brandon Prust and Kelly Thompson. These guys were super tough. They didn't lose fights ever. Yeah. And Sprinkle and Josh Beaulieu, like he was pound for pound in my career through my path. Josh Beaulieu was pound for pound the toughest guy I played with. Like he was skinny rail in junior, but he was a Golden Glove boxer. So when he fought, he was like throwing like properly, you know what I mean? Like a proper punch. Yes. When he threw, he was like throwing to knock the block off. So they were like from downtown, and they were so sharp and so accurate. It was like, anyway, you got me fired up. You opened up a can. I'm pretty passionate about our team, but there was so much there. Trevor Cal was an amazing talked about. Like penalty kill and doing all these great things for the team, and still could score goals. We were just filled with the right pieces, and we all got along and could all share the pie, so to speak.
Like going back to that 04-05 Memorial Cup, even like the 2005 one, and, Rimouski was there and Kelowna was there. And, even though I grew up in Kamloops and I worked for the Blazers and, diehard Kamloops boy, I cheered for the Rockets. I cheered for that. But man, what the hell? Like London was just so fucking good. It was insane to me. Like just everything that you nailed off there was incredible. Like with Perry and how good he was. And I still remember that watching that fight with him and Mike Richards. I remember seeing it on Sportsnet or whatever it would have been way back then. But like to go on a 31 game winning streak, I believe that's what it was, to go on and win the Memorial Cup. I mean, like, what was that like for you?
It was amazing. The year before we had a really good team, and we fell short of our goal. I think I don't want to say we got complacent. It was game 7 at home. We lost to Guelph. It was so disappointing. And there was a lot of us core guys back to next year that were like, that's never going to happen again. We're not going to let our guard down. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, personally, I got drafted that summer, so it was a lot to prove.
Yes.
And, I did slip in the draft. I don't want to go too much into that. It's not that much fun, but I was a little bit pissed and a little bit, I had something to prove. And, the year before too, I also got benched in the playoffs. So I had a lot to prove, and I can't speak for other people's stories. All I can speak to is like when we showed up day one, it was like fucking game on. Like that ain't gonna happen again. And watch this. And we just started rolling. And Pears came in like, right out of the gate, just doing sick shit. Like 3 or 4 games in, he had, I don't know, maybe he was a little bit deeper, maybe like 8 or 9 games in. He had like an 8-point night, and he was just like, it was like, they were all great points, like highlight reel shit. If it was today's era, it would have been like he had 8 content pieces for Instagram. It would have blown up. So that like ignited it, and then the momentum started going. And with no NHL, like it was something else to talk about other than the lockout. There was nothing else to talk about, right? Just focusing on that. And also like, look at this junior team in London. And then people started watching, and we didn't disappoint. The buildings on the road started getting full, like packed. Mm-hmm. And we shit kicked people. They just it was so much fun, because we got to a place where we were earning it too. Like it started to get to a place where everybody wanted to beat us, and we just kept performing, and we kept showing up. And then they would want to get physical with it, and Prusty would shit kick their tough guy, or Kelly Thompson would grab a guy and pound him, their second guy, or whatever, and vice versa. And it got to a place like, we played Windsor quite a bit, and like Downey was like going around, like Steve Downey was going crazy. Like we beat him in my 3 years, we beat him 24 times in a row, and we beat him in playoffs as well. So they were pretty frustrated with us, and they tried to play the physical game. I remember the one time Downey was chasing Pears around, and that's not a good trade-off for us, obviously. So he's like chasing him around, and Pears is like, Prusty, get him off of me. Prusty comes over the boards and just shit kicks him. But anyways, we had, it was just a lot of good energy, and we were all in it together. And, we just, again, like all those things I mentioned too, like Danny's, Civi and G blocking those shots and eating it for the boys. Mm-hmm. Off every penalty. And then when we jumped over the boards for the power play, our power play was clicking at like 36%. It was insane. And we had 2 different units. That's why I said earlier, like we shared the pie. Like we had a right-handed setup and a left-handed setup. And it was always, competition to get over the boards first.
Yeah.
Because he had the glow, and like the clout, he would just, and then sometimes Dale would be like, no, left-handed one. But Pierce played on both, but it didn't matter. He got to either be the one-timer on the one or the half-wall specialist on the other. He was playing both sides. But anyways, it was just a lot of different ingredients that added up. Yeah.
What you kind of just touched on Dale a little bit. What was it like playing for the Hunters?
Yeah, it was interesting. My journey through it was, rough at start, and then learned to, earn his respect and earn his trust. And that took some time, but, hard-nosed guy and hard-nosed family. They know hockey really well. Mark's a brilliant hockey mind, and he sees the game, sees players very well. He works harder than anybody and going and seeing players and finding players and identifying players. Mark's amazing, and Dale knows how to win a game. Clock management, line management, all that stuff, game management. I don't think I played for a better coach at that. Winning a hockey game, putting the right things together at the right time. He knew momentum. He knew what the game. He knows what the game needs. It's just something that's, that's him. That's like he knows how to win games. In his record, I think he's second. Is he second all time? I believe.
Yeah.
He just passed Kilray, I think. So that, it speaks for itself. But tough love sometimes, and he has a way of sees the game, and what it is you got to fit into his plan, right? And what his plan is what the game needs. So whether you agree with it or not, the goal is to win the game, and he wins a lot of them. So again, in the beginning, there was a little bit of friction there for us, personally, but I just obviously was a cocky young kid and saw the game at a high level skill side of things. I didn't know all those tactics and things like that. So it was a tough lesson in the beginning, but it's something I learned to appreciate later on. And when we won the championship, like playing the right way, as he likes to say, it works. You know, I was second the next year. Like the first year I got benched a lot and I got the whip, but the second year I was second to playoff points to Perry only. And, you know, like went from like 15 points and a minus my first year to 29 points and a plus 16, I think it was my second year. So the improvement was there, and I played both sides of the puck, that's what his heart was. And that's how Dale played. He played tough, he played hard, and he did anything to win for wherever he played. So again, tough lesson at the start, but I really understood it later on.
145 points, I believe, in your final year with London you had. What kind of clicked for you that season just to go in ball out there?
Yeah, we lost a lot of pieces, so there was a lot more to pick up. Again, like those years, in the first 2 years, I shared a lot. Well, I wasn't the piece. It was Pears was the piece, and I was second fiddle along with some other guys. So it's, there's a lot there, and that had to be done so we could achieve what we wanted. And then the last year was, again, he lost a lot of guys. We lost Sibby, G, Rodney, go down the list, Fritchie, Larman. A lot of guys left. So it was really David Boland, Dylan Hunter, myself, Sergei Kostitsyn, AJ Perry. There was a block of us, Trevor Kell, and they got a lot more ice time. The rules changed. That was a big piece of it, component. They get rid of that obstruction in a lot of power plays. And the other thing, and on a personal level, I was really pissed off that I didn't make the Oilers. So I wanted to show it through my play, and I was pissed. I was very upset, that sometimes it can be good, and it was good for me. Like I used it the right way, I believe, and I used fuel to my fire, and it was going to prove something, and I did. So, the other thing too, when I was up to the Oilers, and it was like kind of like right on the cusp. There was a lot of articles being written, like he's gonna, he should make. He's had a really good camp, and while I was up there, like I think it was like ICQ or Skyping with David Boland, and he was already back, and he was tearing it up. And he's chirping, and we were going back and forth. And I'm like, I just kept telling him, man, when I get back, if I come back, I'm going to catch you. You're not going to catch me, Bob. You're not going to catch me. So I got back, and like he had 28 or 30 points in his first 10 games. And then I came back. My first 10 games, I put up 50-something points. And it was just the power plays. And I was 3 years deeper. It was my fourth year in the league. I understood the league well, and I understood the patterns very well of the league, and the sort of opportunities and how to create them. It became easy at that point. And, that's something I think helped me through my career in general, was just being able to identify patterns and understanding. And I got that at a pretty young age. So again, 4th year in the league, you could really start picking apart defenders, goalies, and you see those patterns. It just makes the game so easy.
Do you have a highlight reel goal that you kind of look back on at all from London?
One of my favorites was against Ryan McDonald that year. Man, he had my number like this. I love the guy. We were best buddies. We used to sit around and watch Trailer Park Boys all the time together and do the bubbles impersonations and all. It's just stupid humor as teenage boys. And so anyway, he got traded, but even like when he was here, I could never score him in practice. He read me like a book, man. I couldn't do anything to score. So he gets traded, and he's in Guelph, and the game that I'm talking about, like he robbed me like 6 times. The one time I came around the net, and I had the guy, like I cut the net in the offensive zone. I cut it, and I was going to come around that like C cut and come around the net and then spin around and shot. I'm setting it up, and I'm like, man, I got it. And as soon as I go to, I didn't get a chance to look at the net because I had pressure. But I know what I'm doing. I'm going to drag the goalie off the post. I'm going to go short side shove. I'm dragging. I turn. I get boom. I let the shot go. I got so much on it. This thing's a bomb. It's going bar down. Macker was tracking me. And right before I went to shoot, he went on his back. Like, think about this. Like top of his head is facing me, and his 2 pads are stacked, covering the high glove. Before I even shot it, and they hit him right in the toe caps. And he goes, "Fuck you, Bob," from his back. I was like, "You son of a bitch." So later on in the game, it wound up being a tight game, like 1-1 or something. We went into a shootout, and I came down and I sniped on him high blocker, and I went right through the neutral zone, and I did the kayak, and I was like, "Fuck you, Bagger!" It was like, I don't know, it was a highlight. It was a great goal, but it was just like the backstory to it, and that little shit like chirping me the whole game every time. And like that was the one, and then every other one was glove save. He was catching them like we were playing ball before the game together. Like he was already there, knew exactly what I was doing 3 seconds ahead. And, but yeah, that was probably one of my favorite goals because of that. And Ryan McDonald was he's such a beauty. I love that guy.
Oh, that story is fucking awesome. That is great. Okay. I know you said that you don't like to talk about Edmonton and kind of like what happened there, obviously, but what was it like to get drafted?
Yeah, it was intense, it was just like a lot going on, and the draft year was terrible. Like it was a lot. Like I asked for a trade out of Mississauga. It was a gong show there, and just whatever. Yeah, it is what it is. So, fortunately, like, it was like the ownership took over. It was like Forgione and Pronger took over in Mississauga, but it was already like things didn't work out there. So I asked for a trade, and then later on he becomes a teammate in Edmonton. So a little bit of toughness there. And, so I asked for the trade, and then I got benched in playoffs. So there's a lot of my draft meetings were just like really negative and like really like, why this, why that? So it was an intense time for me. And it was really like one of those times I felt, like really backed into a corner for some reason, just kind of under attack. So then going into the draft, it was like, ranked going into the year, I was ranked top 10. And then, by the time we get to the draft, it's slippage. So it was intense, and it was a little bit, I don't know, just if I speak honestly about it, it was intense. I didn't know what to think. And I didn't really like my interviews. I didn't do well in the interviews. I didn't respond well to being backed into a corner. But if I can go back and have a day over, it'd definitely be the combine meetings. But it is what it is. Life goes on, and that was how it was. It was just intense, and I didn't know it was so uncertain, and I didn't know what the damage was from the interviews. And then, I slipped in the draft and got drafted, and that day was weird. We were in the box after, and it didn't feel like really welcomed. And my dad, even after, was like, "Oh, this isn't good." So it was a little bit intense, and the future was not as certain as I probably would have liked, but got picked, and it was great to be picked. Obviously, I was sitting there and didn't know what was going to happen. You don't know, like it's intense. You're slotted, and some of those meetings, teams some were good, and they said, "Hey, you're probably not going to be at our pick. If you are, we'd love to have you." And then they don't take you, so you're like, "Oh boy." I don't think I'm ever going to get drafted. So it was intense, and they had a lot of people there too. So I felt a lot of pressure. It was like 130 people there for me, and awesome to have that support. But also, you're sitting there like, "Oh fuck, man! Like I'm bombing right now. I don't want these people here right now. Oh, I just want to be alone." But it was tough. And then this is just one day, and we got picked. And then again, we went up to the box. It didn't feel good. So right from the start, it was like, ooh.
Yeah. Vibes were off, eh?
Yeah, a little bit off.
What's like the biggest, what do people get wrong here? What's the biggest adjustment from junior to pro hockey?
The speed of the game. It's a fast game of chess, and you can't play at a beginner level of chess. You got to learn to play fast. And that's the biggest thing. So identifying those patterns and the speed of the routes, there are a lot of the same routes. The thing is, the nets are in the same place, and the rink is the same shape. So a lot of the math is the same. The math just gets quicker, and you got to be thinking ahead of it. So, you got to see your moves, and there's things to do. And there's little habits that you have to have at the pro level. They're non-negotiable. And that's just the way it is. And it's not opinion piece. It's just as an ex-player, like they're not negotiable. There's certain things you have to do. There's certain habits you have to do. And you talk about a Patrice Bergeron and why he had such a successful career right from the gate, because his habits were unbelievable. Mature, discipline, those things. And those, I know I do a lot of development stuff now, and it's trying to hammer that into those kids' heads at like 14, 15. And it's not like, I don't like your blue shirt. That's an opinion. It's like, this is what you're going to see. And if you get it now and start working on this stuff now, it's not going to be perfect now, but you hone your craft earlier. Instead of your, running around flipping pucks and stick flipping everything. Like it's not going to be that. 14, 15, when you get to the OHL, you're not going to run around slipping sticks. You're going to need to get your feet moving quick. You're going to have to be fast and you're going to have to be agile. So like, that's the stuff I preach now. And it's probably contrary to what people think, because I'm supposedly a YouTube sensation and play lacrosse with the hockey puck, but that stuff's later on. And that's like different stuff. It's not, we're not in the Instagram world if we want to be a real hockey player. But for me, it was that, getting the feet moving, because last year junior, everything was so slow to me, and it just was the play seemed slow. So when you get up to the pro level, guys, like their first 3 steps are, like guys, when I went to training camp, like Ethan Morrill, Jared Stoll, these type of guys, like they were cleaning like 300 pounds and squatting the racks. Like these guys' legs were tree trunks, and when their first 3 steps went, they were out of the gate. You got to be fast. So that was the biggest thing I found, was that speed was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, though. It makes sense, because you go, like you said, like you get to learn the league of like the OHL, and everything starts to slow down once you get better, and then you get up to that next level and it's just chaos. Like I can only imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
So you kind of bounced around in the NHL a bit, but what was your favorite moment in the NHL? Like, what favorite goal? Do you have something like that? Your first goal, probably?
First goal was the most excited I've been probably ever for a hockey goal. And it was a duster one from behind the goal line, but I didn't care. It didn't matter. I banked it in off Tim Thompson. I didn't care. But my favorite one was the Colorado baseball goal. It was such a high level goal. And then, to give a backdrop, like it was against Craig Anderson, had a lot of the Ryan McDonald in my life. Like I skated with Andy in the summers, and that bastard, like I could never score on him. His angles were so freaking good. Like, and in the summertime, it's like, not every drill you're going to play it like a game as a goalie, right? Like if you could come out and cheat by a step out, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you blame him? But as the shooter, you're like, fuck. I haven't seen one shot go in the net this whole practice. And I was supposed to be a goal scorer. Like he drove me nuts, at that level. So in that moment, like, not to rub it in on Andy, but it was a sick goal. And he had the post covered. I picked a hole like that big with a baseball swing out of the air. And that just added kind of a nice ingredient to it. And, other stuff backdrop, like I was in and out of the lineup, I was not really sure my placing with the Islanders. I was getting healthy scratched a lot. So to do something like super high level and start producing and doing, I always like to produce and entertain. Like that was how I saw the game. So that was very entertaining. It was productive. And, a little bit of flair. Patrick Kane said it about me the best, he knew how to play the game, and he did it with flair, and he knew how to entertain people. So that's it was right in my wheelhouse, and that goal is just, again, kind of got me in the line. It gave me a boost in confidence, and also for the coaching staff. I got some love, and kind of became solidified in the lineup there for a bit.
You're the guy that I think of first when people talk about like creative players and players that were able to do just the most insane shit with the puck. You're definitely that guy that I think of first, but that's because I grew up with that era of you playing like that, and you were one of the first players to like kind of introduce that to a higher level. What do you make of guys like Trevor Zegras and the younger kids now all trying to do Michigans and just all the crazy stuff they try to do? I think it's cool. But like, do you think there's a time and place for it more so?
Well, it's just got to be objective. If there's another play to be had, then feel free, or make the right play, right? You're not going to pass up the right play so you can have your ISO moment of that, right? But the stuff with the Michigans, like objectively looking at it, how else are you going to score from behind the net?
That's true.
Like you say, you bank it off. Well, what happens if you go to bank it off the goalie's leg and you absolutely miss? Like you just misfire. You're firing it out towards the blue line. Like, what could happen there? Well, there could be a defending winger could pick it off and go on an odd man rush. If you want to have that argument, I guess I don't know who I'm arguing, but sometimes I feel like I'm arguing with a crowd. But when you're behind the net like that, it's it's objective. And like, if you don't, even if you don't pull it off, you get the lacrosse up there, you get the Michigan up there, and you go to it. Think about the goalie squeezing the post with the shoulder. If it's on the blocker, it hits the shoulder, it bounces, and it sits nice in front of the net. So there's a second, maybe third opportunity there. There's a lot there to it. So, that's the objectiveness of it. And then we go to the entertainment side of it. It's triggered a whole energy in the youth, and kids want to do different, try it out. And, I got kids even in Hong Kong when I was coaching there, like they want to learn that before they learn to skate, which again, I'm not a fan of, but that interest in that spark is entertainment. And that's comes from, Mike Legg doing it in Michigan in the 90s. And now it's growing and it's finally becoming accepted in some degree. The kids this is where they grew up. They grew up on Instagram Reels and YouTube, and that's what they want to do. They want to bring those things to life, and that's okay. I think that's very okay. I don't know what what's the backside of it or the downside is I don't know what it is. Because someone doesn't like it. And I see it differently too, again, on the objective side of the argument. Like if I came down on a one-on-one and the D's just keep the puck normal, the D can angle me with his stick and he can get me to go to a place I don't want to go. If I came down with enough gap on a one-on-one and I could do that on the fly, get it on my stick, now it's up on my waistline. I got it up there. It's up in the air. What do you do as a defenseman? And then you're going to get the hard-nosed guy who goes, I would just slash you in the face. Okay, well, that's a penalty. So I'll take the 4-minute major when you cut me with your slash or spear me in the throat. That's okay. But objectively, you think about it. If you try to defend that, you could probably slash the stick maybe, and then the puck drops right down on my hands again anyways. You slash my stick. Now the puck's there. Now you're concerned with that slash. Now I could probably burn you with it. So there's a lot to it using that move or changing the dynamics of the game a little bit. And the only reason why I wouldn't pull it out is because back then I would have been benched. It's like, I would have gotten in trouble. It's like, why am I in trouble? Like if I could do it, right? Then it's just like anything, man. You don't get to like go to try it out. You screw it up, turn it over. And then you should be allowed, well, it's okay. That's not okay either. Like, again, if you want to do it, you got to put the time in to be able to fly, go full speed, scoop it up on your stick, have enough gap between you and the defenseman so you have that space. If you could do that, I don't see why that would be turned down or shunned away. You know what I mean? It's a different way of figuring out a solution to a problem, which is winning that one-on-one battle. And the next piece of it is if that puck is sitting on your hip, right, off your hip as like a lacrosse stick, like you think about the math towards the goalie now, like it changes everything. Like they're used to this thing coming from the ice and rising up, where now it could come at a straight line right under the bar. It could come like a bounce shot in lacrosse, like right at the feet, and that rebound will cause problems. So there's like a lot to it. It's not just, it was hot dog and it was different, but it's like there's also objectiveness to it in my view of it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm long-winded on this answer, but that's my view on it. And I just see the aerospace as a totally different thing to create. And again, you got to be good at it and you got to practice it and be able to execute just like anything. If you're doing sauce passes, it's the same thing. If you're throwing these muffin sauce passes that are getting knocked out of the air, you can't, as a coach, I'm not going to let you sauce pass fly. Sorry, buddy, you suck at it. Like, I'm not going to give you 30 turnovers to do it. But if you can sauce it like Patrick Kane, through the seam, backdoor on the tape with pace for a 1T, feel free.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great breakdown of it. That's not long-winded or anything. I think just from like a skill like side of it and your side of it, you've had experience with that. And I think you can kind of, you see the game better than a lot of people from that creative perspective, I think. So I appreciate the breakdown nonetheless. I've kept you for half an hour. I'm just going to keep you for a little bit longer here. Let's talk about Europe. You bounced around in Europe. What was the highlight for you of playing in Europe? Was there a certain place that you just like adored playing in and loved?
I think I'm obligated to say this, but in Latvia, because I met my wife, that was the silver lining there. So that was great. I'm very fortunate to have met her and have a family together. And so it's amazing. For the hockey side of things, it would, Austria and Switzerland were amazing. We had our daughter in Austria playing for Red Bull in Salzburg. It was a really great experience and really enjoyed our time there. We loved it and awesome stuff. So met some great people. Bull. Got actually my first stint in Red Bull. I got to meet back up with a good friend of mine, Danny Richmond, who I played with in London, and we were good buddies. So we had a lot of good laughs, and then that's always good when you're over there, when you can meet up with a good friend and have that instant relationship, so to speak. It's awesome. It makes it awesome. We had a lot of great times together. So Austria was amazing. We loved it there. And Switzerland's beautiful. It's great. The hockey's at a high level. It's good income, and the lifestyle is great. It's so cool. It's beautiful. Like the bus rides are awesome. Like in the minors, you're grinding bus rides through my home area, Syracuse and Binghamton. In Switzerland, you're going through like Lake Como and shit. Like you can't take a nap on the bus because you're like a tourist taking photos. That's what Richie would chirp me, because every time I'd be like, oh my God, look at those mountains. And Richie would be like, just chirp me all the time about that. But it's just really beautiful. And so those were the best spots as far as like the scenery and the lifestyle. And then the best hockey was, for me, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I thought the best hockey was in Sweden. All around, they train like maniacs up in Skellefteå. They're producing an amazing amount of NHLers that are high level, and what they do there, and even USA Hockey and Hockey Canada, they're all collaborating now to find out their models and put their development models together, which is great. But like Sweden's sick. Like those guys are little machines, and they train like maniacs. And that being said, it's pretty dark there in the winter, so there's nothing else to do. so it helps the cause. But like the hockey, man, through and through, like from the top of the lineup to the bottom of the lineup, the way guys approach the game and the way the game was played there, tight checking, hard working. You had to be really creative to make points. My first year there, I played for Elf Samuelson as the coach. Marcus Naslund and Peter Forsberg were the general managers. And those two were actually, Marcus Naslund and Peter Forsberg were two of my idols. I absolutely love those guys. I learned how to reverse hit from watching Forsberg. And I learned that as a kid, like 12 years old in Pee Wee. That was like huge. Like reverse hits in Pee Wee were sick. Like guys never saw it coming.
That's awesome.
So got to play for him, and it was really cool. And I remember going on. It was my first stint over there. I was coming from the NHL to Europe, and I just had that North American mentality where I thought I was going to go there and score 1,000 points. And I was like, holy shit. It was really good. My first 10 games, I only had 2 points, and I was like really stressed. I'm like, I lived off points. Like that was my indicator of how I was playing. And sat me down. He's like, you're playing really good. I'm really happy with you. Like really, you're playing great. You're making a lot of great plays. It's like, it's different here. It's not going to be a 150 point season, buddy. Like just be patient. Points will come, and we're not upset with you. And that was a big relief. And I appreciated that dialogue with him. And I loved him playing for him. He was a great coach. But that, like I said, I just, my expectations were not being met by myself. But once I settled in, it did start to come, and I had a great year there. But the hockey was like, man, points were hard earned. So it was good.
What favorite European rink you played in? Because like I can only imagine. I've seen some of the stuff over there, and just some of the fans and what they can do. It just seems so cool over there in some of those barns. What was your favorite one that you played in?
Toss up in Switzerland. It was between Bern and Davos. Like Davos is like a cathedral. It is so sick. Wooden, beautiful beams. Like it's wild. So it's such a beautiful building. And then Bern has like one wall. It's like, I think it's 12,000 fans. It's straight up, and it's all concrete, like standing up on concrete slabs, and they just bounce and they do all that stuff like the football, soccer fans do the whole game. And it's so intense, and any kind of momentum they get. I mean, it's already going, right? Like in North America, it's a little bit like people sit and eat and drink, and then when something happens, rah, rah, right? Over there, it's like they're going, they're cheering. And then when they get a little bit of momentum, it gets, you know what I mean? It gets more intense. You're like, oh, you can feel the swings. It's hard to play in those barns with that kind of passion behind the home clubs. But those two rinks were really cool to play in.
Favorite European jersey that you wore?
I don't know. That's Salzburg was sick. I love that. We had these sick helmets. They're so cool, man. Like I never got attached to that shit. Like jerseys were. I didn't answer your question, but the jersey was okay. The helmets were sick.
Okay.
It was the helmet, but also playing for Red Bull. Like the owner of Red Bull was living in. He passed away. Rest in rest in peace. But he passed away. But he was there at a lot of games when I was there. He came to the games. He was there, and it's just a cool thing to have the owner of Red Bull like in your barn, like he's there. Like it's pretty cool. And then those buckets were sick. But I'd say the buckets and Red Bull, and then I like the Skellefteå AIK in Sweden. They were really cool, very simple, but a lot of history to it. The crest on the front, I don't know. I just love the way it looked. The black and gold were really cool, intimidating, and it was a great sweater.
And my last one for you, Rob, why don't you just kind of tell our viewers what you're up to nowadays?
Yeah, so I do a lot of development video work with players. So when I retired right away, I started a company for video service, and and then I work with players on the individual basis a little bit, like Mr. Oates and a guy named Daryl Belfry. Same thing. So I kind of inject that sort of knowledge into their film, and what I mentioned earlier in the pod, just about what kind of habits they need to have, and if they're checking those boxes in their game film. And it's not rocket science, but it's a third party reminder. And I had that with this guy named Brad Wheeler, and for me, he was a big factor. And I didn't get to stay long in NHL, but when I was there, I played really well. Like I'm proud of my time there because we went over my film. He watched my stuff and had brutal honesty with me, and good and bad. So I've really kind of doing that now myself and interjecting that knowledge for players. I love doing the video stuff because I can do it from anywhere. I like on ice stuff, but you're one person in one place. You can't be everywhere. Fortunately, I'm in London, Ontario right now, where there's some great players. I'm doing some skating stuff with guys like Easton Cowan. My old Bill brother, Brett Harrison, he's a kid, third round draft pick to Boston. So these pro guys have got him out on the ice. And then in August, I'll be doing stuff with Danny Severette and Corey Perry. We're running some stuff here in London, pro skates and junior skates. But a lot of that stuff. And then on the other side of things, I do business development for a biotech agricultural company. And that's been a lot of fun, learning a lot of cool, just different stuff. Being outside the game and having something else to talk about has been good for me to learn, business side of things. Also, learning about agriculture and golf course turf management. It's just a different thing. And I think it's important as a person just to grow and have different things to think about and learn from outside of walking off the half wall and ripping clappers. I could talk about that all day long, but again, I got to build my brain and build myself up. So it's been fun. It's been a great transition. And yeah, I do work with players. So if you're at a certain level, I'm happy to help and happy to work out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob, for joining me today. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
You're muted. You're still muted.
There we go. Another great episode today, Colton. Spencer Hyman, Rob Schremp, both having some great stories. There's something that I was scrolling on Twitter and I came across. I just want to show you here. I don't know if you've seen it. It's also not hockey related at all, but I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. So the Cleveland Browns, they were doing their helmet reveal, and watch the person on the right on the raft. Just into the drink.
Yikes. It's very Cleveland Browns-esque.
That's tough. I don't know. I was just scrolling along, saw that. What a way. It's just like they're trying to do something huge, reveal their new helmet, and just something great for the organization. And boom, into the drink she goes. Yeah, like you said, very Cleveland-esque.
That would be me, 100%. Just fall off the fucking dock.
Yes, sir. Well, Colton, what do you have planned for the rest of the week?
We got I don't really know. I got work. Blazers camp starting up soon. I'm just writing a few things, touching base with some alumni. I'm supposed to talk with Connor Zary here soon, so that'll be fun. Get to chat with him. Dylan Garand as well, New York Rangers goaltender. Going to be talking with him here soon, so I'll have a couple articles up there for the Blazers for that. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, sweet. Everyone, we thank you for tuning in again today. If you want some more content, coming out on Friday on the Fight Network. I'm producing the Dogger Pass podcast here later tonight, so keep an eye out for that. And I guess without further ado, we'll be back here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on GDT Live.